Hello, Horror Hounds. I've just got back from seeing it. Seeing what? It. That's what I'm asking about. Who's on first? Etc. I guess we should get the important question out of the way first. Is it scary? Yes. Although not as scary as I had hoped it to be from the excellent ad campaign. In fact, an awful lot of the suspense, tension is generated through the atmosphere, and an awful lot of that atmosphere, different aspects of it were conveyed. The sickness that Derry is under, the idea that these kids aren't being believed, is conveyed excellently in the trailer, but doesn't leave much else for the movie itself to do. It sits in a world between a constant humming sense of threat, and it would be unfair to call them jump scares, but they're close to jump scares. The tension, the pressure valve gets released off this rumbling sense of threat with Pennywise popping out doing what Pennywise does. It is about as good an adaptation of the children's section of the novel as you could possibly hope. I don't think there are going to be too many fans of the novel who would be particularly upset with some of the adaptation that's gone on here. Naturally, stuff is truncated. Understandably, we cannot go into the rich, deep, historied detail of the relationships and the history, literally, of Derry as set out in this book, and we don't get any of the adult sections. The bouncing between the timelines in the book is what gives it an added sense of depth and history and feel to me. I think if they're going to make this over two movies, splitting the two halves is the right thing to do. It's really the only thing to do, otherwise this would really just end and feel like an advert for the next film, whereas you can watch this as a standalone if you want. There will be It Chapter 2. There's no question about that. In fact, it's fair to say I'm so pleased with the movie that I've just seen that my thoughts instantly turned to the sequel, or Chapter 2 as it will title itself, and realised how difficult it is going to be for an ensemble of adults to sell a level of threat from this clown figure, Pennywise, that the children conveyed brilliantly. By the way, everyone is brilliant in this. There is not a duff bum note performance in the entire film. I think it would be fair to say, Stephen King fans, tell me if I'm wrong here, that the adult section of the novel, their story is less robust than the kids section. When they're interweaving like that in a novel, one feeds off the other and they become interdependent as separate entities. It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2, as I believe they're going to be calling themselves. Chapter 2 is going to have a very robust engine under its own hood to justify its existence as a movie. The smart money would have been on getting those kids and filming extra scenes with them to put in the second film as flashbacks. Pennywise versus the Losers Club as kids is really the heart and soul of the story. The children's section was also the strongest section in the It TV miniseries, apart from the peerless performance by Tim Curry as Pennywise. Such a beloved performance that people were wondering, well, this isn't Tim Curry, this is not my Pennywise, this is not Pennywise as I understand it. Bill Skarsgård, what's that? You've just knocked it out of the park. Yes, it's a different look to Pennywise, it's a different feel to Pennywise. With the budget of a movie, they've managed to really play on the shape-shifting nature of Pennywise much more than they could possibly have done in the TV miniseries. I've read some reviews, some people complaining about clunky CGI, obvious CGI. When you're dealing with a multi-dimensional shape-shifting creature, some computer augmentation is going to be necessary. I personally loved it. I loved what they did with Pennywise. I love what Bill Skarsgård does with Pennywise. He's got a really lilting, tripping sort of cadence to his voice, a sort of plinky plonky, tinkly that just is always just this side of right, always just edging into wrong, and then it slips, and then the voice slips and grabs and catches, just as he's trying to be this clowny figure, but there is a beast, there is a hungering beast beneath it. There's some CG augmentation in some scenes on his eyes, just really subtle little things, like one eye just drifting off center, or both of his eyes just being slightly off center, and he does play it like a furious force of nature, almost uncontrollable, savage, completely primal. It's been quite a long time since I've read Stephen King's novel, so I don't remember all of the complexity of it. There were certainly a couple of things in this film that I was really surprised to see, maybe even some stuff that will pay off in chapter 2. I really wasn't expecting the big lumberjack statue in the town centre at all, and I really wasn't expecting the appearance of, and subtle nods to, so we're not in spoiler territory here, I promise you, but the turtle is, so for the fans who want that, it is there. I don't think they're going to go full Ritual of Chud and shit like that, but the turtle's there, if you can believe that. There is a care, a love for the source material, and a due diligence that has been done on this project. I can absolutely promise you, like I said a few minutes ago, I can't see, unless you're the most nitpicky Stephen King fan in the world, I can't really see Stephen King fans being let down by this adaptation of this really long, let's be honest, but intricate and complex novel. I can't imagine a better adaptation of a portion of this story. I also worry that the adult portion doesn't have as much in it to recommend itself as a 2-hour film. But based on what I've already just seen, I am more than willing to be proved wrong, and I will be buying my ticket to see It Chapter 2. The shift from the 50s in the book to the 80s in the film makes complete and utter sense. It chimes with the Stranger Things thing that's going on now, and it also sort of chimes with the 80s nostalgia in general. I can see the Losers Club in the 80s working. Any later than that, and kids just being allowed to go out and play and do their own thing all summer long. Set it any later than the 80s, and you're starting to really lose, I think, the trust of the audience. On a metatextual level, I do like the cyclical aspect of it. It, Pennywise, was always, to me anyway, a representation of the cycles of violence. Violence begets violence. So just as Pennywise has a cycle of activity once every 27 years, I like the idea, weirdly, it's coalesced quite nicely, that the adult section in the novel is now the new children's section in the film. I'll tell you what I wasn't expecting though. I wasn't expecting this film to owe as much of a debt to Nightmare on Elm Street as it does. Those connections should have occurred to me. It's a supernatural creature that manifests your worst fears before killing you. Isn't that kind of what Freddy does? It really shows that a reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street needn't have been the absolute clusterfuck car crash that it was, and with some imagination and reverence to the source material and love of it, there is a direction you can go to make stuff like this work. This film, it has more in common and pays more reverence to Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street than the Nightmare on Elm Street remake did. How about that? Whilst at the same time being quite a remarkably true to the source material adaptation of Stephen King's novel. It's just that there's such a depth and wealth of material in that novel, easily one of his best, that if you want the true It experience, you have to go to the printed word. But for a feel of the novel, this surpasses the TV miniseries in practically every respect.